Oh yes, it's that time again. So without further ado, let's get in the video. I almost forgot the ground rules.
Hi there.
As always, two games will be going head to head, and I'll be judging them in these three categories: level design, characters, and hub world. And of course, it's entirely my opinion. So, back to the video.
After you.
Level design. Now, when it comes to these two games, they could not be any more different. And with most LEGO games that have their own story, the first level could be the most important. So let's break it down and compare.
Really?
With LEGO Marvel Superheroes, they really wanted to showcase the new things that's added in this LEGO game that no other LEGO game has ever had. I am of course talking about the Hulk and the different mechanics that's needed for a LEGO superhero game, like Bruce Banner hacking terminals, or Hulk picking very heavy things, and of course, Smash. And although Iron Man is pretty cool, we've already had a flying character in a LEGO game. Although Spider-Man was a nice addition, because even though the mechanics have been used in other LEGO games before, it definitely did feel brand new. Let's talk about the boss fight, and there was two. This one, and of course, this one. And both of them was very satisfying. The fight animation between Hulk and Abomination was a satisfying transition into the next part of the level. And this level does a great job of making you feel very strong and powerful at the start of the game, and then when you face off the Sandman as the Hulk, you feel rather puny. That was a good contrast. LEGO Marvel Superheroes 2 definitely had a similar approach, but their execution was rather different. And let me show you what I mean.
Bring it!
Starting off with the Guardians of the Galaxy is definitely a good approach because you have your big fig, your flyer, your acrobatics, and your tech, and then Drax is just your sense of humor, you know?
Let's jump!
And did anyone else notice this?
Drax, you must learn to look before you leap.
Hulk, you have to remember to look before you leap.
I did look. Then I leaped.
That was a nice touch.
Yeah.
And bigger doesn't always mean better. It may have worked out for the old game, but for this game, it was a bit of an overkill.
Too much?
Now don't get me wrong, fighting a Celestial is a big deal, and they did really try to showcase this, with the lasers, the time slipping, the smashing, the crashing, and did I mention the endless waves of enemies? Unless you're Quill, it's really hard to find your character amongst the chaos. I will give some credit where credit is due, however. There are some new techniques and mechanics when taking down this machine that you didn't see in any other LEGO Marvel game. But overall, when comparing to the original, it definitely does not beat it. Like I always said, level design is all about the feeling. You need to feel like you're in a superheroes game. Whether it's jumping off the helicarrier for the first time, ooh, we all remember our first time. Facing off against the biggest and baddest villains, or just testing out a new ability that you've never tried before. Who would have thought killing yourself would be so satisfying?
Warning. This was a joke that some viewers may find funny or not.
Moving on. In the new game, they really do feel like they're throwing everything at you, seeing which one will stick, hoping that you'd like everything or some of the things they throw at you. And to be honest, it all kind of feels like a mess.
Can't see any reason why you might do any better.
Kind of chaotic. And we all know time travel and the multiverse and the extended universe and all these different characters is all confusing.
Get out there and kick him in his...
I mean, don't get me wrong, there's some pretty cool level designs out there, but some of it just felt stale. And if you played two LEGO Marvel games before this one, it's hard to stand out and to bring something new to the table when there's already two out that's pretty much done it all. And the camera angle they chose for this game was problematic. Some of these levels, like the one with Venom Carnage and the one with all the Hulks, you could barely see the characters or the enemies or the bosses that you were fighting. They're always behind you, attacking you, and you didn't even see it coming.
I am Groot.
What do you mean he don't say much?
So the point will have to go to the first LEGO Marvel game. Now the part everyone loves, the characters. Oh yeah. Just like an actual LEGO set, the characters are the best part of the game. And at the time when Marvel was going crazy, everyone wanted to play their favorite character from their favorite movie. Not only that, but they included Fantastic Four, the X-Men, Guardians of the Galaxy, and Howard the Duck.
Total move.
Oh, and did I forget to mention this heroic superhero called Deadpool? Is that what you want me to say? With 180 characters, they definitely wanted to add people's favorites from old and new and the comics. And the comics was a big inspiration for the creators because if we look at the X-Men, every single one of them are based off the comics. And you gotta love the way they look. Emma Frost with one of the most unique abilities in the game. Gambit, that's an absolute OP character and probably the most strongest and powerful one in the game. Cyclops, even though he has one of the most copy and paste ability, he definitely stands out as an original. And many more that stand out with their abilities and the way they look.
Oh my stars and garters.
What does that even mean?
When moving over to the second game, we do have 194 characters, which include the original Avengers that have updated looks, designs, skins, and abilities, as well as a few comic characters and characters we didn't have in the first game. However, let's compare the pros and cons. Starting off with the pros in the first LEGO Marvel game, we have nostalgia. And this is mainly because the developers of the game decided to go back in time to visit the comics in order to create these characters and bring them to life. And it really comes through. Now, I don't know much about the comics, but one of the raving things about these characters in this old game, everything down to their movement, to their behavior, to the way their abilities look and feel, they really did nail this on the head.
No, not yet.
And although LEGO Marvel Superheroes 2 did do this, they didn't quite nail it on the head as they focused more on the cinematic universe than the comic universe. And this is evident with some of the characters like Ghost Rider. I mean, just look at the way they designed this character. When you compare this to LEGO Marvel Superheroes 2, it is nowhere near the same. I mean, I much prefer the first one. I mean, look at this trail. The Trail of Fire. They just didn't add this on the second game. I don't know why. It was one of the biggest highlights of Ghost Rider. What a disappointment. I also love some of the humor they put into these characters, like Mr. Fantastic when he transforms into a teapot, or Sandman when he transforms into a sandcastle. Now, of course, I'm going to mention the Big Figs because without this game, Big Figs would not have been such a big deal. Since this game, there's been over 150 Big Figs. And let me tell you, they have kept some of the transformations from the old game into the new game. And it just goes to show that the old game really did shine. If you've gotten this far, don't forget to like, subscribe, and ring that bell notification. Now, some of the characters in this roster are very lackluster, and let me just name a few. We have Moon Knight, who's pretty much like Batman, but, you know, white.
We don't need him.
And he throws these moon discs. However, in the new game, he's a lot cooler, and there's a lot more to him, and I will say he does look a little bit cooler. And then we have Absorbing Man, who's just not absorbing anything. I mean, what's the point of calling yourself Absorbing Man when the only absorbing you do is this idle animation? Disappointing. Now, this game isn't the only one who suffers from this, but they do this thing where your boss battle is a lot more epic than when you unlock the character. This is Galactus when you fight him, and this is Galactus when you are him. You see the difference? Like Sandman. This is Sandman when you fight him, and this is Sandman when you don't, you know. Now, moving on to the second game, we definitely do have some improvements. We have an extra attention when it comes to detail, not only to the character itself, but also their abilities and their transformations. Damn, that's satisfying. Now, because they did focus more on the cinematic universe, they definitely nailed every single one. I can't complain. Not to mention the extra characters and their skins. Just look at all these Spider-Men, all these different Hulks, just extra characters all the way around. And the team up ability animations are pretty cool too. And let's not forget this animation from Aunt May. Moving over to the negatives, we have Kang. Kang the Conqueror, the man of technology, of future, past and present. Yet, he can't actually use any technology, which is strange. And this really makes him one of the worst characters in the game. Next, we have two big ones. And no, I'm not talking about the big figs because they are great. I'm talking about the fact there's no X-Men characters.
That doesn't sound good.
Or Fantastic Four.
Oh dear.
But they have this frying pan man. What's up with that, TT Games? Now, after careful consideration of both games' pros and cons, I will have to give the point to none other, drumroll please, Lego Marvel Superheroes 2.
Gentlemen, the situation is dire. I welcome any ideas.
It's time to get ready for the final chapter, which is, of course, Hub Worlds. And in the first game, we introduce ourselves to New York City and all its glory. And in here, we are introduced to 16 locations that are a fan favorite tool, like the X Mansion, Marvel Comics HQ, and the amazing Central Park. And of course, let's not forget the helicarrier. Boy, I love that helicarrier. And these are just a few fan favorite locations. But what really makes this game come alive is the quests and missions you have to do in them. And if you're an X-Men fan, bringing these big boys down was definitely a sweet spot.
That's quite a lot of protein, even for a big guy.
Now, get ready, because you may not realize the second game packs a punch. Now, I'm only saying this because if you count every individual location in this game, you'd get roughly 50 different locations. And I'm only saying roughly because I lost count after 45. And of course, they still added in those missions that you'd love and enjoy. However, it didn't feel as good in this game as it did in the first game, but they definitely did try.
Do we have to get...
So, without further ado,
Okay, folks.
the winner of this matchup will have to go to none other than Lego Marvel Superhero 2.
Odin's bristly chest hair.
Lego Marvel Superhero 2.
I know, I can't believe it either, okay?